Hi, Professor Miles here, and welcome to the new Radio Training Control Room, RTR2. I'm going to go over a few things to help you familiarize yourself with the new radio training rooms. As you can see, we have a brand new mixer, a Behringer mixer, and brand new Alesis speakers to go along with our Mac computers. And also, I'm going to just turn and camera just a little bit over, and now you can see a recording. Now you can see soundproof material on the wall to help you to record your audio much better. Also, we have a stand, and we'll talk about how to use this equipment much better in the RTR rooms. But first, let's get a close look at the equipment in the RTR room. In looking at the RTR console, I want to point out and identify some key areas that you should concern yourself with. One rule of thumb is that don't be intimidated by the number of knobs and buttons that you see, because you'll only use a certain amount of buttons anyway. And in this case, you will only use the microphone, you will only use the mic fader and the master fader. Okay, let's try to connect the mic. The mic that we will be using in most of our productions is a Shure SM Beta 58. A Shure SM Beta 58. This is a dynamic microphone. We connect the XLR cable and attach it to the microphone output. Now your microphone is connected. Because of the way our rooms are configured now, most likely you will find the cable for the microphone coming from the mixer, as indicated right here, this particular XLR cable, which is attached to the mixer. This cable right here, you will probably see the cord or the coil for that mixer or for the cable directly up under the desk stand in the studio. So at this point, we just grab the cable and take it out. I think that the best way to handle this will be to place it behind the computer screen, ending up here on the microphone stand. Now you're ready. Let's examine the audio console. Let's examine it up close. Your audio console has three sections: input, outputs, and the main. When you begin to operate the console in any of the RTR rooms, you want to make sure that everything is rotated counterclockwise and that all the knobs are pushed up. That's called zeroing the console. Now let's activate the console and get it ready for recording. Let's take a look at the input 1 channel strip. The input 1 channel strip. Looking closely at the input 1 channel strip, we see that the microphone is connected into the microphone input, and we see a button that indicates low cut. I would always suggest that you depress the low cut. That cuts off any rumbling or really any low subsonic sounds. That will help to make your voice clean. The next button that you will encounter is the compressor. For right now, initially, you won't have to activate or use the compressor. I would recommend that you rotate it all the way counterclockwise. The next area that we will be looking at closely is called the equalization or EQ. High, mids, and lows. When you're operating, or anytime you go in to set up the console, make sure that all of these buttons, the high, mid, and the low, is at 12 o'clock. That means it's in a neutral or flat position. The next area that we'll look at is the auxiliary send and the effects control. This class won't deal too much with why we use these two buttons. You will learn that in an advanced level course. And this knob is called the pan. When recording, it's critical that you understand what the pan does, because if you have it turned counterclockwise to the left, all the signal or everything that you're recording will be recorded on one side, the left. If you have it on the right, that means that anything that's recorded will be recorded to the right. So, optimally, you want to make sure that the indication for pan is at 12 o'clock. That indicates that the signal will be going to both the left and right side equally. And the last section is the vertical fader. Anytime that you're recording in the rooms, you should always set the vertical fader on the microphone to 0. Set it to 0. Let's set the input level for a microphone. On the microphone channel strip, remember, we want to have the low cut filter pressed in for on. We want to then rotate the microphone input gain fully clockwise to set the level. We raise the fader on the microphone to 0. Now let's move over, or let's move towards an important section of the audio console. I'll move in real close. This is a very important section. This is called a monitor output section. Before you try to record into the microphone, you need to make sure that this button for the production and control room, this button is rotated fully counterclockwise, and that the source for the main mix is depressed in. You can then raise the level to the master fader to 0. And you can audibly see sound, or you can see a level, a microphone level coming into the microphone. Now, if this button is rotated clockwise, you will hear the sound. You will hear this sound. And you don't want to have feedback. You do not want to hear the sound of your voice coming through the speakers when you are trying to record. You do not want the sound of your voice to be recorded while you are trying to record to Pro Tools. You should always have the monitor level counterclockwise so that your voice won't be heard when you're recording, and you won't get that feedback sound. When you hear it like this and you get that feedback, that's a bad sound.